I'm speaking from Psalm chapter 14. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. I know I've spoken this one before. It's just point blank. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. And so when we live in a way that says that God isn't present in our lives, that God's consequences aren't present in our universe, in our world, that his law doesn't pertain to us, then we're being foolish. We are being playing the part of the fool. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. And maybe, a person wouldn't even say it out loud, but if in their heart they're acting, they're living in a way that says there isn't a God and there aren't consequences for me, and I'm just going to live this way, as if, I was the master of the universe, as opposed to God, then we're being foolish. So the fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They've done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. So when we say in our hearts, there is no God, we're corrupt. The things that we do are abominable, just hated by God. And there is none that doeth good. So no one is doing good. Even if you or we think that, oh boy, without God, in my heart, and without God in existence, I'm just, I can live righteously. We can't. It says in the scriptures, there is none that doeth good. The Lord looketh down from heaven upon the children of men to see if there were any that did understand and seek God. So it's just God's eyes constantly looking down on us, constantly wondering, is there anyone who understands this? Is there anyone who gets this? Is there anyone who really understands what it is that I'm trying to do here, and what I've said, and wants to seek my word and seek God? It says, they are all gone aside. They are altogether become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. So, is there anybody out there, that says in their heart there is no God and lives like that? No. We've all become filthy. We've all become filthy. They're all gone aside. They're all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good. No, not one. Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge? All these people who work for a sin lifestyle, and they do sinful things, do they not have any knowledge? Who eat up my people as they eat bread, and do not call upon the name of the Lord. So they just feast on the believer, and just go after them and make a meal of them. So it's so evil, the way that the godless go after the Christian. But in this case, his people, the people of the Lord, in the Psalms, it would be Israel. All right. Who eat up my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the name of the Lord. Were they in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. There were they in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. And because they did that, because they ate up God's people like they eat bread, they had a reason to be afraid, because God is in the generation of the righteous. He's with those who are righteous. You shame the counsel of the poor, because the Lord is his refuge. So, you may look down on the poor, and you may think, man, I certainly don't want to be poor, and I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. Or you may say, oh, well, just because they're poor, we're not gonna seek them. We don't want them. It doesn't really matter. They can't give anything to us at the church, and we're not gonna, this and that, and listen to them. A lot of people are interested in only the people that can financially give something to them. They've shamed the counsel of the poor. It's just like that movie, The Little Princess, where Sarah Crew goes from riches to rags when her father dies, all to find out later that she had a huge diamond mine in her name, and they were seeking her out everywhere. but she was poor, and they mistreated her, and they harmed her, and they starved her, and overworked her, and were cruel to her. And students were cruel to her. Her peers were cruel to her. The people above her were cruel to her. No one would stand up for her when she was poor. And the Lord gave her so many lessons in this story, because she saw what it was like to be hungry, and she saw what it was like to be in need. And so sometimes we just have to go through that, because the Lord, he is he's the refuge for the poor. He doesn't want us to be like that. He doesn't want us to be like that at all. It says, "Oh, the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion when the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad." So the salvation of Israel will come out of Zion when the Lord bringeth back the captivity of his people. Jacob shall rejoice, and Israel shall be glad. So it may seem like, people are going to get away with, with what they do to God's people, but it's not going to happen. And there'll be great rejoicing as he brings his people back. And you can count on that.